do to destigmatize all of these issues is to own the fact that we have them, right? I mean, we are so much better, by the way, today than we've been in the past, for sure. But, you know, the reason why so many issues come up is that we are afraid to share our stories, whether it's our stories using emergency contraception, or having an abortion, or making a decision to be childless by choice. Whatever it is, we have to start owning those. The one thing I can tell you about women is that we are incredible storytellers, and we share our stories with each other privately in our own communities and circles, but we don't make that public. And that's why all of you sitting in the room, the influencers and the bloggers, are so important, because the more stories we have, the better off we all are. So, I mean, yeah, there are places to get facts, but the truth is, for conversations with integrity and the stories that are meaningful and help change our lives, look to each other. I mean, that's why you're all here, and that's what you're all so amazing at.
Actually launch something around that passion, especially whenever you're coming off of an MBA and you're supposed to go into business, or you're in the world of finance and you're saying, I see these people doing it, how do I get started? Do you want to start, Mary, and we can go down?
Sure. I think all three of us, exactly what you said, Kendra, are examples of people who started from a sort of inward-looking place. When I surveyed the landscape of existing media platforms, blogs at the time, I felt as though people were mostly speaking to women in traditional marketing buckets. You are either the pink girly girl that wears florals all the time, or you're the boho sexy beach kitten, or you're the humorless gray pantsuit wearing career girl. There wasn't sort of an accurate picture of who I was out there, and so that's what I wanted to do. But I think what's really important to think about as you're perhaps defining your niche is, again, to look inward. I think it's Gary Vaynerchuk who perhaps started the idea of document, don't create. And I think that's so important. Don't think about what kind of image you can invent and how you can portray that. Think about what you want, what you need in the landscape, because there are other people like you out there. And so if you focus on that, the idea that you're not sort of choreographing everything and trying to be something you're not, I think that's so important.
Well, and I think that's a really good point, because
on my blog all the time, I pull in a lot of all-nighters, and I'm sure they do as well. If I had to be someone else during all that time, like, I couldn't do that. So that's why I had to just kind of stay true to myself. For me, when I was starting out, I did kind of look at other blogs and was like, oh, this is how I have to post, this is what I have to do, and I was not successful at all, because I was echoing what already existed. I only found success when I was like, oh, let me do something totally different. At the time, like, Instagram was all marble backdrops and like white, and I was like, let's throw some color in there, and like that made it so much better. And now people will be like, oh, have you always liked color? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's just been a part of my personality. And so I picked it as a part of my brand and kind of built everything around that, and that's allowed me to stand out.
You could shout it out to everybody in this room as your parting thing. What would it be to all the influencers here?
Become an expert in something. For me, my expertise is color, and as a result, opportunities come because of that. This brand wants to do a colorful thing. They come to me. Microsoft wants to introduce a colorful product. I get selected for that. Become an expert in something and shout it in all of your content, and that can really drive your business.
Fantastic. Be an expert.
It's the same thing, exactly. Find your niche and put it out there and hit people over the head with it over and over until they really understand that that's what you're about. Also, managers and agents do not get you jobs. You have to get those for yourself. So if you think that a manager or an agent's gonna like make you blow up, they will only talk to you when brands already know about you.
I would echo what both of them said, and just the idea that you can't be everything to everyone. So find your niche and find your area of expertise. But I would also just echo what I mentioned earlier, which is the idea of document, don't create. You can't unless you are an Academy Award-winning actress and you can continue to perform at that level. for the foreseeable future every single day. The amount of hard work that goes into being an influencer is so immense that you can't sort of maintain that facade. So you're going to do the best. You're going to resonate the best if you're true to yourself and looking sort of inward.
Fantastic. So be an expert, find your niche, don't rely on managers and agents to make your brand. Go out there and do it, and then make sure that you're documenting, that you're figuring out who you are, and that you, again, have found that secret sauce that's personal to you. So thank you, ladies, so much.
Generation. So I'm going to ask the first question, then I'm going to kick it over to my smart kids over there. What inspired you to write this story?
I was inspired to write The Hate We Give when I was a senior in college. I was actually a lot like Star. I lived in a neighborhood that was always on the news for the wrong reasons, and I went to a mostly white, upper class, private Christian school in conservative Mississippi. I just said a mouthful, but my classmates voted for a certain president. You can figure that out.
Yes.
Yeah. So I often thought I had to change who I was, where I was, so I did what's called code switching. I was careful of how I spoke. I was careful of how I presented myself. I never wanted anyone to say she's the angry black girl, she's the ghetto black girl, she's the ignorant black girl, she's only here because of affirmative action. I never wanted to be written off. I would leave my house playing Tupac, and by the time I got to my school, I was playing the Jonas Brothers. But my struggle of being two people became harder when a young man named Oscar Grant lost his life in Oakland, California. And although I did not know Oscar, I heard conversations about Oscar all around me. At my neighborhood, Oscar was one of us. He was an ex-con and he was trying to turn his life around, but that had nothing to do with the last moments of his life. At my school, my classmates thought that he deserved it. He was an ex-con. Why are people so upset? He should have just done what they told him to do. In my anger and frustration and hurt, I felt like I had two options. I could either A, burn down that entire school campus, or I could be right. So I wrote a short story about a boy named Khalil who was a lot like Oscar, and a girl named Star who lived in those two different worlds like I did. And that's how The Hate We Give was born. And that's what I had to come to accept. Whether I listen to the Jonas Brothers or I listen to Tupac, I'm still a sister. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Nothing takes away from that. It may mean I have bad music taste, but that's about it. You know? So I had to come to learn that. And it was a struggle, but I tell young people now, the way you speak does not determine your blackness. You do. At the end of the day.
You got one over here. Awesome. We got two more, you guys. About speaking out.
That fear is real. I understand it. You know, I still struggle with it. But what I say is start small and start around you. Realize that your voice matters, and sometimes all it takes is correcting people around you to get your voice going. Once you get the confidence to do that, you'll find yourself speaking up and speaking out even louder. I promise you.
Susan G. Komen and the difference they were making in the community, and I learned all that I could about how to best equip yourself if you face a diagnosis. I had to learn very early on to know my own girls, and it saved my life not just once but twice, because 18 years later, you know how sometimes they say if you make it through that 5-year mark, you can kind of 18 years later, when I was 34 years old, in the opposite breast, I once again felt a lump. Now this time my doctor said, Nakia, don't overreact, don't be a hypochondriac, we're sure it's nothing, we'll just keep an eye on it. But this time, because of the information that I knew, I insisted. I said, if you even think that there's a chance this could be cancer, let's test it. And sure enough, it was early onset breast cancer. Know your girls, know your own bodies, and at the first sign of any abnormality, let's be willing to go to the doctor and have that conversation. And we're so excited to announce the launch of the Know Your Girls campaign that helps and equips you to have those great conversations with your physicians and know what resources are available to you. So we want you to come visit us, stop by our Know Your Girls booth, follow us on any one of our social media outlets at Know Your Girls or hashtag Know Your Girls, because our experiences and our stories make a difference in the lives of someone else. And I just want to leave you with this. Each one of us go through something to help someone else. And every one of us in the room have platforms and businesses that we can use to help enrich the lives of someone else. And this little verse of a song just blessed me when I was a little girl, and I want to share it with you. It just says, if I can help somebody as I pass along, and if I can cheer my sister with a word or a song, and if I can show just one somebody that you tried wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Oh, my living shall not be in vain. No, my living shall not be in vain.
Tell us a little bit about how you created your own aesthetic and honed it over the years.
Wow, so aesthetic is major right now. I think everybody is like, oh, what is my aesthetic? I don't know. I remember when I first started, I had no idea what aesthetic was. I was just posting pictures. Like, I didn't care what it looked like, what colors, what contrast, all of that. But I think right now I've definitely got into a groove and figured out what my aesthetic is and what my brand voice is. And first and foremost, my brand voice is authenticity. I think being able to establish, I'm authentic. So like if you look at my page, you can immediately know what I'm about. I think that's first and foremost. But as far as an aesthetic and theme, because I know we're talking about design. Can they see the, okay, perfect. So I would describe my aesthetic as very bright, contrasted with some blacks, but you know, everybody that knows me and knows my feed, I love bright whites and bright colors. So that's my aesthetic. I think we also have some other bloggers that you can kind of understand what aesthetic is, because some people don't even know what aesthetic is. And basically aesthetic is your overall theme to your page. So when someone goes to your page, what are they seeing? What do they feel? So here's some other bloggers. I think you can kind of scroll through to kind of get an understanding of different aesthetic themes. So you have some bloggers that like that vintagey look. You know, they may have a darker page, a darker edit, and then you have some bloggers that love really bright colors, like Color Me Courtney. So those are just some different themes that you can think about when you're thinking about building your aesthetic and building that out. But you know, above all else, is just keeping that authenticity and learning, okay, what does my feed say about me? Because you got to think about it like this, and this is what I like to tell people. It's like, your feed is think of it like an elevator pitch. You know what I mean? So like if somebody goes to your feed, what is that immediate thing that they can take from your feed? And being able to have some sort of consistency, whether it's just consistent with the content or it's just consistent with the edit, like what is that overall message and theme that you can portray? So when brands are looking to book you, they know exactly what you're going to offer right off the bat. They don't have to guess, you know, like with an elevator pitch, it's like you only have maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds to try to portray something. So what are you speaking about? What is your overall aesthetic and message? So I think for me, I try to keep it very consistent, very clean, but above all, I like to have quality. Like we have to start there when it comes to creating content. It's the type of quality, because you know, no filter is going to make
Facebook stories. And I think, so I'm really excited actually to talk about why, you know you love Instagram stories, but you know how Facebook stories also plays a role in your entire aesthetic and your brand. So
who here uses Facebook stories?
Yeah, that's great. Yes. So what we're seeing perform really well is we understand the importance of keeping your feed with the same aesthetic, just as Dana was just mentioning. And we understand that you want to make sure, you think a lot about what you post on the Facebook feed. So how does Facebook stories play a role into that? Well, some of the content that we're seeing perform particularly well, especially with content creators, is that behind the scenes look behind the brand. Like who is the person without
without all the makeup potentially? What do they do when they go to the grocery store? That sort of content, Facebook Stories is perfect for because it's a direct entry point into some of your more, some of the platforms on Facebook that you're already used to, like pages, like events, like groups. So for example, I have a very, very, very small blog on Instagram, and I like to cook with my boyfriend, and everyone's talking about us posting our meals on Instagram for some reason, so we just decided to do it, I guess, and it's going pretty well. We use stories to show what happens in the process of creating our meals. And that was working really well for a while, but we got a lot of feedback that people wanted a place to go back and see our recipes, right? They need a place like that's permanent to see recipes. But as Drea was just talking about, we don't want to put recipes on our feed because that doesn't go very well with beautiful food pictures either. So we're kind of looking for this medium that allows us to still be authentic on our stories and engage with our audience, but then also have a home for some of that more permanent content. And
Do not use all of their vacation days.
That statistic was really shocking to me. I think what's so important as leaders, and quite frankly, all of us are leaders in some way, shape, or form, whether you have 200 people reporting to you or one person reporting to you, is what I call symbolic leadership. And symbolic leadership is really making sure that you, in that influential position, are showing people that it's okay to do this. So I have a colleague, Dave Crutchfield, who leads the oral care and wound care business, so Listerine and Band-Aid is the big brands that you would know. And you know, he's very clear with his team when he needs to reschedule a meeting because he's got a parent-teacher interview with one of his children. And that little gesture of vocally saying that, so not hiding why he's rescheduling the meeting, but publicly talking about why he's rescheduling the meeting, does a lot in terms of giving his team permission. And the thing about symbolic leadership is it actually spreads beyond your team. So others hear that, oh, Dave said he was rescheduling a meeting because of a parent-teacher interview. It's okay to go to a parent-teacher interview. So those symbolic leadership moves are so important and really play a critical role, no matter what we're talking about. If we're talking about, you know, diversity and placing people in the right roles, or right people in the right roles, if we're talking about work-life balance, blend, whatever we're doing, symbolic leadership is critical.
The audacity to dream and think that I could eventually be a leading lady, and that people like me would want to be represented on the big screen like that. Like, what was I thinking? And the fact that I actually became successful through all the odds. No one was rooting for me. I didn't have like agents lining up and excited to give me opportunities. I didn't have like people saying like, oh my God, you're so amazing. I had everyone telling me, no way, there's no way you're going to be successful. And I just freaking pushed through, and I made it happen. And I think that, I don't know, I think that representation as a business leader now is just as important as it was in entertainment. And I didn't realize that until 3 years ago.